Right then, Berries, we've got the first game in the grand finals in the EMEA Masters. I wonder how the nerves are between these two teams. How are they going to cope? It'll be interesting to see their webcams here. So IJC are starting on blue, Rats are starting on red. We saw yesterday Rats had every single game on blue side and they won them all. This time they're starting on red. Maokai being banned out for Rats. They did that for the first two games, and then the third game, then they decided to pick up that Maokai. Varus has been absolutely perma-banned by Rats. Previously, in other series, they have been banning the Zyra, though. So I don't know if we'll also see a Zyra ban here early on. We've also got the removal of the Corki. I mean, the Scion's picks also... Bowser's pick, sorry, hasn't been taken out. So you got Scion that's free, you got Gragas, you got Cho'Gath as well for Bowser to potentially pick up as well. Ezreal being chosen to be banned here too, so there's already been 380 carries kind of taken out of the equation here. Got a lot of things that are open here in this draft. Are they going to take like the Scion away, or the Gragas away, the Cho'Gath away, or are they just happy to leave that so Baus can get something comfort? It is going to be Rumble in the top. They might be expecting... That would do quite well into... the Scion. Not sure how that would do into the Gragas, but it'd do quite well into the Cho'Gath maybe as well. Galio being hovered here. Not sure who would be playing the Galio. Not a massive fan of that pick, but they seem to have high priority on that. You also got like Nidalee that's open as well for Velia. They could go into that kind of angle as well. You've also, I was going to say, you've also got a Zero open, but I'm lying. That's also banned out. A Jhin. Okay, I'm expecting IJC will probably take a AD carry pick here because the AD carry bans are already quite high for this very first game of the day. In this best of 5. Skarner being locked in the jungle, and then a Misfortune. Yeah, so as expected, they take the AD carry away just so that that pool isn't just super pinched, especially coming into this next part of the ban phase soon. Are we going to see a jungle pick now, or are we going to see maybe a support pick? There is the Viego going to be locked in here. Now there's already a little bit of burst there on the Rat side. It's going to be all about if the Viego can get the resets in early enough. I mean, they got the Rumble and the Misfortune. Those are two relatively easy picks. Obviously, later on, you're going to probably have a Zhonya's on the Rumble to make it a little bit harder to get the resets, but Misfortune is still a pretty vulnerable pick. She does have the movement speed from Strut, but one of the more vulnerable ones. Braum and Yone being banned out now. I'm expecting potential supports are completely open here, potentially. I mean, you could do a weird thing with Galio as a support, maybe. You could have Galio mid or top. There's some weird things that you can do to put. It makes a little bit of question mark for IJC, but I think the safest thing is for them to potentially ban out supports. But then if you do that, they don't have first pick coming through here, so Rats will get priority on the support pick. They've already banned the Braum. Nautilus has been banned on the other side. If you ban another support here, Rats then will probably pick up a support, and then then IJC just have to take whatever's left. Does make it pretty awkward. What kind of champions would Rats want to link up with the Jhin? I'm thinking something like a Leona maybe or something. Sure, Nerdy, if you want to do predictions, that's fine on the chat. Rise being banned away. So they are expecting it to be a Galio in the top lane, which it does look like it will be. There's like a 10, not even maybe a 5% chance it could end up being flexed into the support role, but I'm not fully convinced that Reckless would be happy to play that. I don't know. But yeah, Orianna, ult enable. Last time we saw that with the Nocturne. Can still be kind of applied with Viego, but it's not as much of a surprise, that's for sure. Victor being the mid lane of choice for IJC, and that leaves a support pick here. And if they wanted something to engage, you're running out of options really. Like a Leona's probably a good comfort pick, I would imagine. Thresh would probably be a bit too risky. Leona also works quite well with the AoE overlap on Misfortune and the AoE overlap on Rumble. Choosing to go the Alistar route instead. There isn't much hard crowd control coming from Rat's composition, at least until the support pick is locked in. Okay, there is the Rakan, maybe? We saw Bard played in Game 3 yesterday in the semi-finals. I think Bard probably works better here. I criticized the Bard pick in Game 3 because it was putting their bot lane in a losing matchup into... They had already picked a Karma, for example. But Alistar Misfortune here, I think Rats can contend with that in a 2v2 without being too far behind, like versus a Karma. Because one of the big issues with Rats that I've noticed is the first 10 minutes of the game, they fall behind really badly if the bot lane's getting pushed in. So if Rats are if Rats can stop being pushed in so hard at like level 1, 2, 3, then it will then mean that they won't get invaded bot side or be looked to be dove bot side. Because that seems to be what teams are hyper focusing on now. Velia did kind of resolve some of those issues in the previous best of 3 by doing bot side clear first. The downside to that though, it does open up for your bot lane to be tower dove potentially, which can happen with an Alistar, especially like a little bit later on with the level 6 Alistar ulti can tank quite a few turret shots. So we might end up seeing something like that happening at some point in the game, using the Alistar ulti to tower dive. Although, you know, if the Bard can keep up, I mean, he should be keeping up with XP with the chimes on the map. The Bard ulti can also deny a tower dive. So, yeah, there's a lot of matching pieces here. I think as usual as well with these kind of matchups with Rats, it's like the bounce and top, like how he plays as well and how he gets enabled in team fights is pretty crucial in terms of how Rats end up doing in a game. So this is the grand finals of the EMEA. This will decide which team is the best team in Europe that isn't in the LEC.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Got a full-on best of 5 here. I'm expecting it to go to 5 games. I'm expecting there to be a lot of mistakes as well. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the players here, got lots of rookies here too. You know, I mean, IJC, for example, are fully aware that they've got over 200, 300,000 people watching them right now. I mean, that's going to do something to your nerves, especially if you're a rookie. So, you can already see that IJC's jungler just closing his eyes and taking a deep breath in there. Yokax was definitely taking a little bit of breather there. Looking like we're going to see potentially the first jungle invade I think I've ever seen Rats do. This is completely different gameplay here. IJC are looking to answer this. They're bringing the Alistar up and the Misfortune. This looks like it's going to be a 4v4 fight over the KFC camp. Viego already taken low. Viego already getting jumped, forced to flash over the wall. Ignite's going to tick. It looks like Victor is going to go for it, but he just about manages to get enough there. Victor does fall though. I think overall that probably works in IJC's favor ever so slightly. Victor can teleport back into the lane. Viego, I don't think, managed to get the smite off on that camp, so that's going to set him XP behind. But this is the first time we've seen Rats do a jungle invade in the grand finals. Pretty ballsy. Did not pay off at all. Almost unlucky maybe that Victor just about gets that auto attack off, because if Viego actually walks away there, then that's a massive problem for IJC. Also, Victor getting the passive stack there early as well, the plus 25 stacks is super good. Getting your first 100 stacks on Victor means that you can augment your E to do better wave clearing, and that will apply a lot more map pressure on early on. Another invade coming in through here from Viego. There's just no stop. Completely changing the gameplay here, Rats. Does take away the blue buff, and IJC have no idea that this has happened. Ward going down there just to make sure they can see the Skarner coming across, but I can imagine there's going to be a quick red buff here, and then Viego's going to have to probably dip over to his blue buff to make sure that Skarner doesn't reciprocate. Both heal and ignite were used on the supports. Rats are pushed in quite nicely, so if Skarner does try to go for the blue buff across the river, he's nowhere near. They would be able to answer first, Rats. Positive movement from Rats rather than early on just trying to sit back and let things happen, but maybe some fine-tuned tweaking there. But yeah, the Victor... Although he hasn't got flash, so it's going to make him vulnerable potentially to more plays later on. Looking like the Orianna's going to get jumped here on by the Skarner. Orianna does have flash. Remember, Victor doesn't. Skarner's now coming riding in, speeding up on the ground there from the Orianna, looking to flash over this wall. Viego's looking to come across. He hasn't done his blue buff yet. He's making way for Scuttle, but that's Orianna mid with no flash. The Victor's flash will be up on a sooner cooldown. Fairly evenish on the bot side. You could probably argue ever so slight advantage here to Rats. Good poke going down onto the Misfortune. MF bringing down to 40% HP. Alistair's going to drop down. His passive can eventually heal him up a little bit. This wave will proc Alistair, but this is great poke coming from Cranny on the Jhin. Like, MF generally does quite well in these poke trades, but he's not been able to retaliate at all. They've been keeping them at arm's length. Jhin just has ever so slightly longer range than the Misfortune. She needs to try and find some Q procs on the minions. Meanwhile, on the top lane, I think this is the first time that we've seen in the 1v1 where Baus isn't looking like he's going to die in the turret at level like 3 or 4. So Baus must be feeling pretty comfortable up there too. Got a 500 gold lead now on Rats, mainly because of the invade. Skarner being put down a little bit because of that overall. I think once Victor gets around about that 60 CS mark, 70 CS mark, he should be able to augment his E, and then that's when things are going to get a little bit harder in that mid lane for Ori. Be interesting to see also how these supports roam this game. We've got Grub spawning in 30 seconds. Are both of them going to be making plays for that? Alistair's moving towards the mid lane. Bard is saying, nope, I'm not going to contest for Grubs. He's going down to bot side, and so is Viego. It looks like Rats are prioritizing the Dragon more here than going for the Grubs. Skarner looking to make another play onto mid. You got Alistair still sitting in that brush. Looks like Bard and Viego are making their way over. Can they get there quick enough to identify the issue here? Blast Cone used over. It's going to identify the Alistair, and that's going to quell that potential engage there in the mid. And Rats have kind of guessed that Skarner is going off to 2 Grubs, so this will leave Dragon there for Rats and Grubs for IJC. Gold now evening out now after everything. I still feel like even with the gold lead, just because of the Victor getting the kill, that's probably... that hasn't become an issue yet. But he is the biggest scaling champion in this game, getting that 1 kill. Victor's about to have his flash off cooldown. Orianna's still going to be waiting a couple of minutes still for that flash to be up. This time Viego successfully gets some KFC. And he's going to get bot lane Scuttle as well. So this jungle situation on the camps is actually working out quite nicely for the Viego. Meanwhile on top has been pushing in. Galio's actually pushing... this is really weird gameplay to see, but Bounce is actually pushing in waves and not proxying. Is he feeling alright up there? It'll be also interesting to see how Bounce uses the Galio ultis to get involved in team fights. Looks like Rumble's about to die. Can we pan over there? Rumble just got taken down to about 15% HP. I don't know why we're looking at Bard Cup. It's been placed down, but that Rumble just got taken down to 15% HP in a big trade in the top side. Rumble ulti just being used to clear out the wave, and I expect he's just going to recall from that. He probably will lose a cannon minion, but he gets a good timing at least and doesn't miss out too much. He wouldn't be able to contest much for that, considering he did get put so low. Level 6 now coming in for Misfortune. This is where tower diving could be really dangerous. So for Misfortune over, oh, engaged there coming from the Alistair. Jhin forced the flash super early on. Jhin now being put at a massive disadvantage. Maybe he thought that Skarner was nearby. I'm thinking that he could probably have taken that Alistair engage. MF would have ulted over the top, but I think he could have got away without necessarily having to use his flash. He would have been taken low, but... Big summoners being used here from Rats with no real reply at the moment. Orianna will have her flash back up sooner, so there wasn't a repeat gank attempt there done onto that mid lane. At least not yet anyway. Viega's pushed in really, really deep now. He's definitely got that E augmented now, so he can definitely wave clear a lot faster now. A lot of jungle movement happening up into the top side. Bousing Skarner. Tensions must be pretty high right now for both teams. I think this is one of the more quieter games as well. Approaching 10 minutes, only 2 deaths. We've got objective spawning up again shortly. Grubs in 1 minute, Dragon in just under 2. I think the big thing coming up, if there's any team fight coming up, Jhin is the only person in this game that does not have flash right now. It's a very easy target for the Alice to look for. He can just flash, headbutt, pulverize. Gonna lock him down. Maybe over a toasty Rumble ulti. Good avenue to get Skarner in there too. They can use a lot of resources to try and get this Jhin. Players just kind of chilling right now. I think also we've seen on Rats they've opted into going to lots of like Coles early. Proxy coming here from Gallia, but yeah, this game there's no Coles being shown. Everyone wanting their damage spikes a tiny bit earlier than what a Cole would be able to do. It's the first item spike generally. Junglers are just struggling to find any avenue really to find any ganks here. You're gonna see Victor probably poke this Viego a little bit. Some vision being cleared out. Grubs are now live. Neither team... Okay, Rats are maybe considering making a move over to Grubs. They've just got vision over it and they can see that Skarner hasn't started it. Skarner just did a reset. Looks like Scuttle will be taken for Grubs on top side. Viego has managed to secure quite a few Grubs. If you check his CS, doing pretty well here. 87 to 67. Big CS numbers though happening. A lot of the people here. You got 10 CS a minute already at 11 minutes into the game on multiple people. Now, although Rats did take the Scuttle, Skarner is going to take one grub hit and then back off, and he's going to make a move down to bot side. IJC don't want to give their second dragon away. Second dragon does put you in an uncomfortable position because it just takes one mistake and then you're down 3 dragons and it can be quite awkward from then on. Meanwhile on the top side we've got a bit of a trade here. Rumble is winning out on that trade. Galio does not have teleport, but he does have his ulti, so if he starts walking down now to bot side, he can take part in that fight and try and help secure Rats get this objective here, this dragon. It will mean that Rumble will get to push in top though for free. Alistair actually used his flash there. I'm not sure what that flash was. That seemed like a little bit of a mistake there from the Alistair, and IJC are now backing off because they know that Galio is going to be in the area. So ulti and Rumble reset instead of pushing in top lane for the plates. In fact, he actually denied himself one plate. One of the plates just fell to the minions. So I'd say a massive miscommunication play there from IJC. Wanting to contest for that second dragon. Skarner's now going back up to top side and completing those grubs. So he will get to 6 grubs. Both teams will be on 2 epic monsters, but you feel like that was a bit of a communication error there from IJC. I feel like after maybe Rumble had got the reset on the Galio because he had no TP, I think you just go, okay, Galio's going to come bot side, just finish up the grubs and I'll just take a couple of plates for free top. I feel like they maybe missed out on some easy money on the Rumble there, making this top lane situation even easier. Baus is trying to path in a way to be able to enable the Viego, but that's not going to happen. Symbiotic Shoes is going to help the Galio get back into lane a little bit quicker. Bard trying to do some trade here onto the Victor, but I think Bard might try and freeze the lane here, and Victor's having none of it. There is a turret plate available there. Victor will end up picking that up. Bard ulti goes down onto the Victor. That's a good ult to force the flash out the Victor. Now there's a vulnerability there. Can they lead something up with a Viego? Gank, Orianna ulti setup. There are a few people that have no flash now on IJC. The Alistair and the Victor. Although the Alistair does have Hextech flash. Very tense game right now. 22.5k gold in each team. Nothing in it right now. Hextech flash over the play onto this Viego. Are we going to see a Rumble ulti go down? Galio ulti also gets committed. Galio might be alone here by himself. Skarner ulti used, but Galio then flashes out. Rats come out okay in that 2v3. What do they get though for that investment, Rats? They spent a lot of people up on that top side of the map. Looks like Orianna's left alone down in the bot lane, but looks like there's a TP going down for Victor to answer that. Does mean that Orianna has a teleport and Victor does not. Victor has no summoners up right now. The question is, this is going to go into a late game by the feels of it. Oh, this Victor is... I was going to say, they're all coming down to this bot lane. Big is wanting to contest the red buff here potentially. Alistair's flash might be up soon. 4 members of Rats are coming down here. Galio is still pitted top. There's no way for Galio or Rumble to get involved. Pulverize goes in, knocks up a couple of people. Bard Tunnel trying to get the escape out. Flash is forced there from Rats. Skarner is trying to commit to something here. Viego's being dropped down really, really low. Viego manages to get the stealth off. He actually might be able to sneak away. Jhin is now being potentially called out. That's a big Bard ult, catching 3 people. Jhin has ulti, I think, here. Just wondering if the Jhin was going to pull the reversal there. That was... These jungle invades have been a little bit sketchy here from Rats. Viego finding a way out with 1 HP in his stealth. Got flashes used on everybody apart from Orianna. Even though that felt pretty messy, I'd say, I think if you're Rats, the fact that you got the Orianna flash and no one else has flash on IJC, I think that could be pretty important. That could enable Orianna to get a flash engage. She could initiate something here quite safely, I think, with the ulti as well. IJC did get the blue buff. But I think if you're Rats, I think you're pretty happy with only losing a blue buff after that kind of fight. Both teams need Herald as part of their epic monster quest. Whoa, that looked a bit glitchy there on the Herald with the numbers, but another scuttle taken for Velia. Yeah, but the fact that IJC have no flashes, it does make them very, very vulnerable to a Bard ultimate. You already saw the 3-man Bard ulti. If Rats can do that as a way to engage, catch out 2, 3 people, enable a very comfortable Orianna ulti as well. There's a lot that you can do with that. And you've got a team fight about to start in the bot side with this dragon coming up. It would be Rat's 3rd dragon if they were able to take this, and that puts them in a great position here for Soul. Orianna does have flash to potentially get away from the pulverize. Bard ult, unfortunately for Bard, is a bit of a disaster. Looking to cover, but I think there wasn't really much to cover after that point. Orianna didn't have to use flash at least. Some poke damage going down there. We still have the Orianna ulti waiting to be used. Orianna ulti used on the Alistar and the Rumble. Rumble getting taunted up by the Galio. Rumble's brought down really, really low. Jhin ult coming down at the far back. Trying to look for a pick there. Dragon is up near mid lane though. Looks like it will be a 50-50 coin flip. Rumble is having to back away on very low HP. And they've noticed Skarner is now really caught down and really low HP. IJC are really too low to fight for this. Skarner might fall down here on 1 HP. Does find the ulti though in the Galio with the Misfortune ulti overlay. The overlap even. And these fights are becoming really, really close. You could argue maybe a little bit lucky that maybe the Rumble didn't necessarily fall down there, but that is one pick here. Here you see that Skarner realizes that he's all by himself there, and Rats are holding off the damage on the Dragon, and Skarner gets brought down so low. Finds the ulti on the Galio. Gets out alive. They get one pick, but it does cost him a Dragon. I think if you're Rats, you're happy with that once again. You complete the epic monster quest first, and you get 3 dragons, putting yourself in Mountain Soul. Very early soul to have to fight over. Mountain Soul not necessarily the greatest, but still pretty useful nonetheless. Does look like IJC will pick up the Herald. Orianna looking to be dove. She still has the flash, having to use it. Orianna ulti used Alistar's no flash now for no reliable engage. I think once again, if you're Rats, you're kind of happy with that flash trade. I think Alistar having no flash, I think Jhin would be happy with that as well. The fact that he knows that he doesn't have to worry about the Alistar for the next few minutes. Still a very close game in terms of gold. 20 minutes in. The gold hasn't really shifted at all throughout the entire game. Galio finding the Victor. Galio taking a decent amount of damage here. Galio is locked up in that stun. But there is a lot of magic resistance on this Galio. Victor uses his ulti to wave clear. Seems a little bit excessive. But used nonetheless. Attican is up, and they know that Victor hasn't got ulti for a little while here. You'd feel that the Rats would be feeling pretty comfy, like, trying to organize a play over Attican. You still got Galio on bot side. He's having to... Bowser's recalling now. He does have ulti to get to Attican. There is some setup here from Attican as well. From top side. Got both AD carries in the mid lane right now. Galio is going back down to bot, but neither of these top laners have teleport. They're looking for a play here on the Victor. Victor has flash. He can maybe flash straight away after this. The Orianna ulti brings him back in after the flash, but he still lives. Now, Skarner's now looking for ulti. Can he find a pick here? He's opting not to pull his ulti. But Victor has no flash. But Rats did commit 2 ultimates for that. Victor has teleport also to get back into this, so... In the short term, this is going to be a little bit of a down moment for Rats, but in the long term, in the next... If they can wait this out until the ultis come back up, Rats will have the advantage again. So maybe try something else like that again. Meantime, the first turret does fall to IJC. So whichever team gets the first 3 kills will get those boot upgrades. Rats need to find 2 picks here, whereas IJC just need to find the 1. 1k gold lead now going into IJC's favor because of that turret. Galio's still lurking around. Knows that the Victor hasn't got flash, but there's Alistar lurking around the side. But Bard coming in, well, he might tunnel through this wall. There is find the pick. He's found the stun. Big fight coming out. Victor ulti is now being used. Teleport being forced straight away here from the Rumble to help defend topside. Galio is now being free to push in bot. He doesn't have teleport though to come up to here. Victor is now teleporting back. Galio might end up getting this bot tier 1 here. I'd say that's a pretty big win for Rats. You're taking the teleport away from the Rumble. You're getting that turret for Baus. Skarner looking like he's coming over the wall here. Looking for a Bard. Bard can just go through the wall. Atican pulled by IJC, but it doesn't look like they're actually going to start it. A lot of focus on this top side objective, but you got Mountain Soul is now spawning for 20 seconds. That whole setup has been going on for like the last two and a half minutes. Victor is now back on the bot side of the map. All team members are now in this bot side of the map. Got players trying to contest for vision, but is someone potentially going to get caught off? Herald now being popped by IJC. That's going to go down into the bot wave. It's going to do a little bit of damage to this turret. It's not going to take it out. It's just going to be there. It's going to be more annoying if anything. Galio can do stuff onto that while... and just teleport ulti in potentially. Alistair's brought down to half HP. He does have ultimate still. We could see something funky here with an Orianna ulti onto the Viego. Maybe he can find a way in. Are they just going to 50-50 this? It looks like it will probably be a 50-50. IJC have stopped doing damage on the dragon. Crowley's in a really awkward position in the pit. There's an engage happening here with the Galio. 3-man taunt. Jhin ulti goes down. Skarner's down on 25% HP. Bard ulti only catches the dragon. Mountain Drake is secured by the rats. They do have Mountain Soul now. But I think rats are now looking for the retreat. Viego now jumps over the wall with his ulti. But no one on either team makes it out. Bard ulti, you could say they're also a little bit scuffed. Baus using his TP to come back into the fight in case it's carrying on, but it doesn't carry on. But Mountain Soul does go over to rats. 4 dragons for rats in this very low death game. I feel like if that Bard ulti actually catches out IJC, be interesting to see what kind of setup there could be. These Bard ultis have been more missed than hit right now. But what can rats do with a Mountain Soul? Once again, it's not exactly the most dangerous soul, but if they can get Atican on that, that's going to enhance the power of that. You've also got Baron up, so if the fight does go really badly at Atican, you're going to give the team not only Atican, but also Baron as well. Yeah, and Dragon Soul is claimed before Boots upgrade too. That's a very good point, yeah. That's, wow. I don't think I've seen that before. Now you've got the enhanced blue buff and red buff where everyone on the whole team will get the buff if you do kill that objective. A very tense game. I'd say like it's obviously in the favor of rats right now. Only 500 gold down and having 4 dragons is pretty big. I think it's basically guaranteed that we're going to see an Elder Dragon here though, so if IJC, it won't really matter that rats has Mountain Soul. If IJC are able to actually get Elder Dragon, that will make that Mountain Soul look kind of meh. Once again, pressure's going up onto this top side of the map. It's very vital that both teams get vision control over this area because there's 2 massive objectives here. Both tier 1 turrets are still up, and I think that's the first thing that people are trying to... that rats in particular are looking to get rid of. This turret's a little bit annoying, providing some free vision. And that's now been taken out of the way. Atican is being started, and IJC are looking to find a way into... Alistair finds the engage onto the Orianna. The tunnel is actually fantastic. Alistair just goes straight through. MF ulti is also beautiful over the wall. Jhin ulti now coming through. Alistair is brought low. He's still got his ulti active. He doesn't fall. He now finally falls. In the bot side, you've got a little bit of a push here of minions, but we don't really care about that. We've got a big engage still happening here in the middle. The Galio finds an ulti in, but rats are actually falling down. Galio will fall here. A bit of a disjointed re-engage there. That Victor ulti just getting absolutely massive there with the takedowns. Are they going to get Atican here and Baron? IJC? You've lost 3 members on rats just for the Alistair. That's going to be the Atican and the Baron. That was such a good start there with the... IJC finding a pretty good engage there initially on the Orianna. Orianna was definitely mispositioned. Reckless did a very nice bard tunnel to get the players out, but the re-engage was just not it. This disengage here was beautiful. Finding the tunnel through. MFL really doesn't do a massive amount here though, even though she does clip 3 members. This Jhin ult I feel like could have been weighted on just a little bit. Galio at the front line here. Everyone on Rats just tries to commit, but this Galio just catches 2 people out and they just get decimated super quickly, especially through the Rumble ulti as well, just being set up for a barbecue session. Just sticking the Bard and whoever else that was on 2 kebab sticks and just putting them over the Rumble fire. And that's now put the game on its head now. We've got Elder Dragon potentially being a big threat now for Rats. That Mountain Soul, as I said, it's not the best, unfortunately, for Rats, even though they were able to secure 4 dragons. It is one of the least impactful souls, in my opinion. And the gold swing is going to start getting absolutely massive here. We've got 5k gold lead now coming to IJC with this Baron buff, taking down tier 2 turrets. And it is a GA Attican because there hasn't been very many, so Rats are going to be hesitant to fight this. Engage happening here, and the Galio tier 3 does fall down. Alistair might fall. Not quite. Jhin ulti going down, being committed, trying to find the Alistair there. Rumble ulti used on the Jhin to interrupt that ulti. Is that inhib as well also fell over there? Insane amounts of damage here coming from IJC on these structures. That's already bot side inhib taken out. Very big use of power in Attican. Attican buff will wear off in 15 seconds, however. And because it isn't... Oh, Bass is actually taking a massive amount of damage here from the Misfortune. Misfortune flashes forward. She gets stunned by the Viego, but... It's not a great time for you to die now, Battles. You're down for 50 seconds, and there's an Elder Dragon spawning in 15 seconds. IJC are gonna get this Elder Dragon, I feel. That is going to be a free Elder Dragon picked up by IJC. Special thanks to Rats for killing the first 4 dragons so early. And special thanks as well to Baus for getting caught in that mid lane, but that was an insane amount of damage from the Misfortune. It is a very squishy Galio though. For almost 4 AP. How are they going to turn this around, Rats? If you're Rats, how on earth do you come back from that gold deficit? You can see now. Just them losing it there, and that Attican getting the double epic monster objective. Now with the Elder Dragon for 2 minutes. I was going to say Rats have would be happy at least that it's not the 25% increased epic monster one. Otherwise his Elder Dragon would be lasting even longer. Six kills to 2. IJC been doing a great job in turning some of these fights on their head. Top lane tier 2 is now falling. Rats are avoiding all fights right now. Gotta feel we need to get some big AoE combinations going down here. Stun than Skarner, but then absolutely nothing. Skarner is now crowd controlled. I think he was looking for an ultimate. Skarner's brought down a little bit low. Oriana ulti used. Viego gets away. Well, Skarner falls down for free. And there's a Rumble that's caught up in the Bard ultimate. Baus is getting caught up in the front line though. He's taking a lot of damage. Elder Dragon might take over here. Elder Dragon is claimed there by Rumble. Crowny forced to flash away from the Asda headbutt pulverizer. They're going to lose another inhib here. It's like Rats will lose 2 inhibs. Elder Dragon still has 40 seconds. I feel like it was a good pick onto the Skarner, but the Elder Dragon and the amount of damage that IJC have just makes it 10 times harder. If you're looking at flashes on IJC, you still have the flash on the Rumble and the Victor, so a lot of work I feel like Bard has to do here in order to try and at least get rid of some of those flashes with his ultimate. This game was neck and neck for those first 25 minutes of the game in terms of gold. I think under normal circumstances as well, you would assume that Dragon Soul would be much more beneficial to have. All that effort that Rats went into for those first 4 dragons haven't really amounted to anything. Galio potentially getting caught out again here by the misfortune. Rumble ulti being used to get out. Galio has to flash over the wall. Bounce overextending again, just do some wave clearing in to try and release some pressure on the base. Bot inhib is respawning in 40 seconds. Still got another 3.5 minutes on that top one. Got Baron respawning ever so shortly though. Galio's in the bot lane with TP. He's going to clear out some of those super creeps. This is going to try and get IJC to force. Skarner's looking for an avenue to engage. Rumble ulti is still on cooldown. Orianna balling over. No squishy target there though. Baron has been started by IJC. Rats do not have vision on it and it's slowly dying. Bard ult is going to delay the Baron. It's just been continued and started back up again. IJC still have aggro of the Baron. It's now falling down to 7,000 health. IJC are still pulling off it now. Here comes the fight engage. Alice has popped his ultimate. Rats are looking to disengage, waiting out the Alistair ulti. Rats are on the run. Scurrying away. There is no teleport now on Galio. But he does have his ulti. 3 points in. Is going to extend the range on that. Not sure if he's going to be able to reach his team here. Baron has been restarted again and they're making a trap into that brush. No vision here for Rats to see this Baron slowly being chipped away in the background. Bard and Galio is still not here yet. Nemesis taken down to 50% HP. Alistair going to get locked up here. He has no ultimate. He might die pretty quickly here. Alistair's now been taken over by Viego. In the meantime, IJC do take Baron. Got Victor being brought down to like 10% HP. You see Viego's going to use the Bars Cone to get over. Galio's going to taunt up the Skarner. Looks like Victor might be able to get away here. They're looking for the chase here though. Can Viego find it? He does find it. Smite interrupts the recall. It looks like Viego could end up potentially dying here if he's not careful. They could waste the death timers on this on a little bit here. They don't have to kill the Victor. They're intentionally leaving him alive as long as possible in order to just delay the Baron even further. Yeah, Alistair used his ultimate earlier, so you got 2 people. You got the Skarner and the Misfortune still bashing in the Baron here. Yeah, Alistair having no ulti does make him a pretty squishy target that's put in the game. This Jhin, last shot here, not quite enough to finish, even with the Collector. Galio does find that re-engage, and Victor does flash over that wall. But yeah, I think that's a really good delay here from Rats. Really smart play in order to just make it more delayed that this Victor is back on the field. Victor started dancing on the ground. And we have Elder Dragon up in 5 seconds. Victor is up in 10 seconds. He does have teleport. Our Rat's just going to try and start this objective straight away. I think you got ults pretty much on everyone available now. Jin's ulti is now back up now too. Elder Dragon's now falling back down to 8,000 HP. Skarner's going to try and 50-50 this, I feel. 4.6k. It's going to be a 50-50 split. Viego's been engaged. He's been forced to leave. He's back over. He gets it. Elder Dragon went to 200 HP. How on earth did he manage to steal that? Big fight coming in. Galio's now coming in defensively ultied. Victor's now, Zhonya's in front of Rats, and it is a complete wash over here for IJC. And this Rumble is just trying to troll and delay the game as much as possible by getting rid of some of these minions. What happened though at that Elder Dragon? That dragon went down to 400 HP. I thought that Viego was not going to be able to steal it after he was forced to leave the pit there. I think they can end. I think they can end this. They might need to send someone to the enemy fountain just to slow down their movement speed so they don't get the home guard buff. You've got Alistair up in 5. This is over. There's no way that this Alistair and the Skarner, game 1 will go to Rats. What a comeback here for Rats after kind of that disaster 25-minute fight. they found a way. And you can see they're pretty happy about that. I don't think any of them were expecting to come back into the game after giving away the Attican, an Elder Dragon, and a Baron. I want to see that dragon fight again, though. The fact that that dragon went down to 400 HP just seems illegal. I have no idea how that happened. Are we going to get to see a replay on that? They did yesterday, I think, do replays. Just the fact that they held off that Victor death timer was key for them to be able to just go for that Elder Dragon. If they didn't delay the recall timing, the respawn timing on Victor, if they had killed him straight away, he would have been up in time. So here we have the first level 1 jungle invade that we've seen Rats, I think, ever do. Kind of backfired a little bit because you're giving Victor that first blood with the stacks, the 25 stacks there. Victor does fall, Jhin does pick up that kill, but slight advantage there to IJC. But this is one of those fights early on where Rats do get the dragon here, the third dragon, and crazy low HP fight where only one person falls down here. But this is the big fight. This is the one that caused Rats a lot of concern here. Looks promising for Rats here with the Alistair falling down. Does have the ulti up, so he's still pretty tanky even with this amount of HP. Rats go pursuing for it, thinking that they're just going to absolutely run over this fight, and the Scar and the ulti just absolutely catches them out on the re-engage. Baus ults in and he's just all alone by himself, and that opens up an Attican on the Baron and then later on an Elder Dragon for IJC. But this is the big fight. This is the big fight where Alistair has no ulti. Alistair dies, Victor gets engaged on by a great engage there by Baus. There even Skarner misses his ulti to catch out Galio. I don't think it would have ended up into much, but the fact that they remove this Baron here off of the Skarner, and this is the most important thing, this interrupt. If Victor doesn't get interrupted there, he's there for Baron, for the Elder Dragon, sorry. The fact that they intentionally left that death timer as long as possible, I think Crowley could have already left it even longer. And then here we have the dragon. Look at the health on the dragon here. 300, 200 health. Skarner didn't even smite. You'd have to analyze that over and over again to see what actually happened there, but Elder Dragon is just the difference here. Both of these teams are, I feel, very evenly matched. And that Elder Dragon just breaks the deadlock there in that last fight, and also not having the victor until super late made all the difference. Yeah, I'm expecting it probably was Jhin 4th shot that was, I think Crowley was maybe trying to secure that, but I don't think Skarner was expecting it to drop that health. I mean, there was definitely a half a second there for Skarner to react to smiting that. I do feel like there was maybe a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of panic from Crowley, 4th shotting it a tiny bit too early. But then, yeah, the miss smite there from the no smite at all, actually, from the Skarner. The fact that Viego was over the wall and managed to find a way in, he was about to use the blast cone in, but he actually used one of his abilities to get back over the wall and get there in time to smite it. But you saw it was like that was 400 HP, 300 HP. That could have easily gone either way that last fight, but it does make it game number 1 does go to Rats in quite a dramatic first game. If the rest of the games are like this, then this is going to be a hell of a series. GG.